There were other things demanding his time too. School was more work than ever this year, and Ben struggled to find time for studying. He tried once to get Jason to back him up and convince his grandfather that it was no big deal if he sometimes got a C. "Grandpa always insists I get good grades," he complained. "I tried to tell him that it didn't matter because day trading is where my future is, but he was too wise for that," Jason interrupted. "Your grandfather is right. There's no such thing as a part-time slacker. If you give less than your best in one thing, you'll soon find that you can't give your best to anything else. Speaking of which, I want you to take up a sport." "A sport?" Ben asked, horrified. "I don't have any time for that. And I don't like sports. I'm not athletic." "It doesn't have to be big. Go running. Learn to ice skate. Take a martial arts class twice a week. Whatever you think you'd like. But set yourself a goal and discipline yourself to meet it. You'll need more discipline if you want to pull through the hard days as a day trader. Like Jim Rohn says, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. If you don't want to be self-disciplined, then go find a job with a boss who will make decisions for you." So Ben took up running, since that seemed like it would take the least time, and worked up from a 1-mile jog to 5 miles in a few months. Meanwhile, he saved money from his allowance. If Jason ever let him start actually trading, at least he would have some capital to begin with. Jason Campton was finding the mentoring more interesting than he had expected. He was surprised Ben had outlasted the first few weeks. But now that he had, Jason thought that he might have it in him to go far. But Jason was always tough on Ben. He suspected that part of what kept Ben going was the need to prove himself. "Now that you've taken up running, you'll understand what I mean when I say that day trading is a marathon, not a sprint," Jason told Ben. "Yes, there's the quick motion from day to day, but don't let that fool you. You need to be determined to stay focused for the long haul. You can't stop to celebrate when you've run the first mile. If you do, you'll fall way behind on the second. You need to know that what I'm teaching you is not 5 steps to achieve success or some other simple formula. When you start trading again, you'll probably still lose money for months. What I'm teaching you is a mindset to carry you through, one that will turn your mistakes into a mountain to climb, instead of letting them mountain up on top of you until they crush you." "When I start trading," Ben exclaimed. "You said when, not if." "Don't worry, it won't be any time soon," Jason said dryly. "You still get way too excited about it." Ben tried to hide his disappointment. "It's all about your mindset," Jason reminded Ben on a different day. "To be successful, you have to train yourself to deal with failure. Practice and experience will come with practice and experience. But if you haven't resolved to learn, you won't ever improve. Strategies develop and change, but what can't change is your commitment. That's what you're doing right now, building commitment. That's far more important than any strategy. Strategy is for day trading. Commitment is for life." But the day Ben had been waiting for finally came, the day when Jason said, "There have been plenty of times I thought I'd never say this, but here we finally are. You're ready, Ben. It's time for you to start day trading." "Thank you, Mr. Campton," Ben said, as calmly as if he'd just been past the salt. 20 years later, Ben Scott spoke at the biggest financial summit of the century on wealth creation. His talk was brilliant, and several papers ran quotes from his speech, followed by a summary of the success story he'd become. Most people thought it was the greatest moment of his life. But Ben Scott disagreed with most people. The greatest moment of his life was after the speech, when a 16-year-old kid came up to him and said nervously, "Hi, Mr. Scott. I need your help.